Good morning. Welcome to RHI's Day of Giving, episode 4 years now. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate the support. This hour is brought to you by Unified Group Services, one of our big sponsors. They have made this hour of our day possible. I'm Larry Dykes. I'm a longtime board member and former chairman of the foundation board. And I'm here with Vanita Khanna, whose family has many touch points with RHI, both personally, professionally, and in a very generous fashion supporting RHI. Good morning, Vanita.
Good morning, Larry. How are you?
I'm wonderful. I hope you're the same.
I am. It's a great morning.
Had a couple of questions for you. And the first one's really a two-parter. How did your family get involved with RHI? I already know the answer. Never ask a question you don't know the answer to in advance. But the second part is what I want you to do first.
Okay.
If you could help all of us get to know your dad, personally, professionally, then I think folks will have a much better feel for your connection now to RHI.
Well, I would love to because I adored my dad. He's passed away now, but his name was Dr. Khanna, and he was board certified neurosurgeon. He practiced for over 50 years in Northeast Ohio. He came here. He was born in India, and he did his training in England, and then he came to the United States in the 70s, and you have to do your residency all over in the U.S. So he was doubly trained, so he was doubly good. But he loved what he did. He absolutely loved what he did. He breathed and just lived for neurosurgery. So even when we were on vacation, he would be reading neurosurgical journals. But he also loved his family very much. So those were the keynotes of his life. He also published a lot of journals and a lot of articles that are still used today in neurosurgery. And one of the things that we're also very proud of is that he was honored in 2017 by the House of Lords in England, and our whole family went to celebrate that with him.
Wow.
He was also a very humble guy. Not his kids, we're not humble, but he was. And we're very proud of that. But he was a very caring, compassionate doctor, and we judge all medical personnel by that. He has 3 children. I'm the eldest, and then he has my sister, who's also a physician, and my brother, who's also a physician, and I am a businesswoman in town. The rest of the siblings are in Ohio and Kansas City. And then he has 5 grandchildren. One is another businesswoman in town, and then my youngest daughter is a physician also because of him. So he was a very giving, a very loving man, and we miss him. He passed away in December, but that's what brought us to RHI.
Tell us a little bit about that.
He moved here with my mom after they retired, a couple years after they retired. So they actually moved to Indianapolis to be close to one of us siblings. I was the lucky one that got to have him. And so they bought a house about 3.5 years ago and came here with the idea that they had already retired and they were going to travel, but this was going to be their home base of operations. And about 8 months before he passed away, he started having some medical problems. And subsequently, he was in the hospital a multitude of times. And each time that he was in the hospital, he got weaker and weaker. And one of those times, he got to the point where he couldn't walk, he couldn't turn over in bed. And the doctors actually at the hospital, St. Vincent's Hospital, said, "You can't go home like this. We have got to get you strong. We've got to get you rehabilitated." And we were in a quandary. Where do we take him? Now, this is a healer. This is a guy that's been in very control of his life. We got to get him to the best place. And the doctors themselves said RHI. Now, I've lived in this city for 35 years, and I had not heard of RHI, which is really shameful because we have this gem. And so they said RHI, they said it's the best place, but I don't depend on anybody. Okay, so I did my research, And I came to see the facility. And I saw people in the hallways that were being walked, that had apparatus on them, and it was really impressive. Now, there aren't bells and whistles here. So there's not like chandeliers, there's not couches, there's not things like that, but it's very clean, it's very, very patient-focused, and I walked away kind of impressed by that. But we brought my dad, but what was very impressive to me, too, was when we did the research, too, and the doctor said is, listen, this is where the Indy race car drivers from the Indy 500 are brought when they are injured to get them to the best possible position that they can be after they're injured. Well, you know, if they're bringing world-class athletes here to get them up to speed, they can do something to my dad. So we brought my dad here, and my dad, again, he could not walk, he could not turn over in bed, he could not do anything for himself, and he was so debilitated. And on the schedule was that he's going to get up, he's going to get dressed, he's going to have breakfast, he's going to go to PT, he's going to have lunch, and he's going to go back to PT. And I thought, good God, what have we done? How are we going to do this? After the first week, my dad was walking with a walker, and he was so impressed. This is the kind of place he sent people to, and if he was impressed, then you know what? It was, so that's how we brought him here, and it was the best decision we have ever made.
What motivated you and your family then to help support the foundation which supports RHI?
We felt blessed that somebody had brought us to RHI, and we felt that it had put quality of life in his remaining time. And so we felt that we wanted to give back to this organization for a multitude of reasons. Number one, he had thrived here. So the remaining time that he had, he was able to walk, he was mobile, he was not bedbound, he was not sofa-bound, okay? He was able to be my mom's sous chef again, okay? He was able to go to the state fair Festival of Lights, you know, the Christmas lights, you know. He had life in him. He was able to enjoy the remaining time he had. That was precious to us. And we wanted to make sure that we gave back what was given to us, so that PT had money, so that wherever you needed to put the money, we could put back to this place. There's also another thing that happened is you had these nurses, okay? I'm going to name two because I remember, because they stand out to me, okay? Jenny and Margot, okay? They were so kind to my dad, and they reached out, and my dad came back to RHI subsequently, and he was in a different wing, okay? And he had different nurses, and Margot heard that my dad was here. She came to see him. She didn't have to do that. That's caring.
Absolutely.
Okay? Bill and Allie from physical therapy, they cheered for my dad. Now, my dad's very motivated himself, but to know that somebody is cheering for you and cared about you, and when they saw him subsequently, they'd go, hey, here, Doc, you know. And I will tell you, too, I mean, I remember these people's names. Dr. Qureshi and Dr. Khan, they called us to see, how's Dr. Khanna doing? I can never give back. And my whole family, I just don't feel this way. My mom feels that way. My brother feels that way. My kids feel that way. I can never give back. My sister feels that way. Why wouldn't I give back?
Well, I regret that I never had a chance to meet him. He sounds like a remarkable person.
He was a great guy.
And with your family's generosity and all of yours, he still is here and always will be. Remember when you give money to the RHI Foundation, everybody has their hand out looking for money. Support research, whatever nebulous concept that may be. Remember, the special quality here is when you support cutting edge, world-class research here, not only does it benefit the world, it is immediately translated into patient care and rehab in this facility and other related facilities. We really appreciate you joining us this morning. Please be generous, and thank you and your family,
Thank you
Vanita.
so much.